Lately, I have been thinking about pivoting to cloud security, which got me thinking, what is best, Google Cloud, Azure, or AWS? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over just that. I'm going to go over pros and cons of each one of these cloud computing platforms. I'm going to be going over different cloud computing salaries for different roles. I'll be going over job titles. I'll be going over the best cloud computing certificates to get, and I'll be going over where to get started with cloud computing. So first of all, what exactly is cloud computing? Well, there are several different directions. The technical definition is, and don't fall asleep, cloud is a virtualization of several IT disciplines, abstracted. They're virtual resources of storage, appliances, resources, and services that are managed by software, so the resources can be accessed by demand. These include software as service, infrastructure as service, and platform as a service. The business definition is you're outsourcing your hardware so you don't have to deal with it or have on-site management. The cloud computing market is growing exponentially. AWS is definitely in the run and the leader of these cloud computing ones. I believe they reached a 59 billion run rate, where Azure reached a 37 billion run rate and Google Cloud reached a 19 billion run rate. And why should this matter to you? Well, that means AWS definitely has more jobs for the cloud than, say, Google Cloud would. And that should factor into your decision of which provider that you should go with. Personally, I'm gonna go with AWS because there are so many jobs and it's the leader. However, this will also just depend on the industry that you're in. And then a lot of places use multiple cloud. So learning each one of these is actually really useful, and different industries use different cloud service providers. And so depending on your industry, you may want to choose the Google Cloud. Another downside to choosing AWS is that there's more people trained in AWS. And so they can also pay lower salaries, where Google Cloud, not that many people are trained in Google Cloud because it's not as popular, and so you may be able to command a higher salary. The type of jobs available are plentiful. Basically, I mean, it needs all of the jobs. So you need cloud security, you need IAM for the cloud, you need cloud support engineers doing the lower level tier work, so there are entry level cloud jobs. You have to have a cloud developer because a lot of it is software. You need a cloud architect to make sure that the design is secure and working properly and at its maximum efficiency. You're going to have cloud consultants, and these are mostly sales focused. So they probably have technical, but they'll probably also know how to sell these services to companies. And so what are some pros and cons of AWS, Azure, and Google? Well, AWS, as I have said, largest market share, more jobs. It also has lots of training, so you can easily train yourself on AWS for a pretty affordable price. Lower market share for Google Cloud provider, GCP, and Azure may be at your advantage due to less competition from other freelancing. It's much easier to be a big fish in a small pond. GCP might actually be better than, say, AWS. If you're not sure, I would get the base certificate in all three of these so you're familiar with all three. A lot of the principles are overlapping, and the certificates, the entry-level certificates, are not that difficult to get and won't take up that much of your time. Out of all of the ones that are easier to learn, I would say GCP is probably easier to learn from my research because it's intuitively named. I was going through the AWS services and you have to memorize all of them. The names for their services are very wacky. Whereas in the Google Cloud provider, the names are very intuitive, making it easier to learn and study and pass that test. I would say the Google Cloud is just more straightforward than AWS. Smash that like button right now. A lot of places have multiple cloud providers, so honestly, choosing one is a little bit difficult, to be honest. And this is because of defensive depth. The best way to figure it out is play around with each one of them, see which one you like better and can see working on for a long period of time, in fact, years. because if you hate AWS or GCP, then maybe Azure is the best one to go. Also, see what your current company is using. If they're using AWS and you want a cloud job, it may be a good idea to become good at AWS and then just transfer roles in your current company. That might be the best way to get your door in the foot. And within any of these, remember, you are also going to need to know the security basics for the cloud, even if you're not going to work in cloud security. AWS has really good documentation, but so does Azure and GCP. Azure is the second largest cloud provider and is really good if you like open source and things like Linux. It is not as big as AWS, but you still won't have a problem finding a job. They have really good customer service and it's pretty straightforward to learn. Along with that, they have tons of online courses to help you learn these job titles, and they have certificates that are pretty affordable. The next one is Google Cloud, and I've heard a lot of bad things about Google Cloud. That being said, you can get paid more because not a lot of people have this skill set. The customer service isn't that good. A lot of people are unhappy with Google Cloud. Their documentation isn't that well done like AWS or Azure. It's also not as large of a cloud computing provider, so maybe that's why. So what are the cloud computing salaries? Well, it depends on which job you take. The highest paying IT certification was the Google Certified Professional Cloud Architect at around $175,000 a year. That's pretty good, and it beats out AWS or Azure, and you're going to have less competition for these types of jobs. AWS Cloud Architect earn between $140 to $150, where Microsoft Cloud Computing Architects earn $89 to $183,000. And so maybe AWS pays a little bit less, but you have more of abundance of job opportunities. One of the top highest paying salaries is an AI platform senior cloud engineer at JP Morgan, and that's around $210,000. So it really depends on what industry you're going into and what part of cloud. Cloud is a very large field. It's the IT abstraction of many different fields, so it can be kind of hard to navigate. No matter what cloud provider you choose, you're going to make over 6 figures within 1 to 2 years. So what are the best certificates to start with the cloud? And honestly, I would start with the basics of each one of them. So there is a AWS Fundamentals certification, there's a Azure Fundamentals certification, Google Cloud Practitioner one. I would get all 3 of those. They're not that difficult to learn, and then choose from there which one you want to go. Now, I'm sure you could use free resources. I just like structure and I like to save myself time. Check out that. And then after you get those, I would choose a specialty. I know a lot of you are interested in security. There are cloud security certificates by each one of these providers. There's also identity access management certificates by some of them, AI certifications, which can be really cool depending on where you want to go. Cloud, really good. Exactly how do you gain experience within the cloud? The best way to do that is after you get the fundamentals down and go through the certification is to create a project, put it onto GitHub, and then create a lot of documentation on it and add a lot of notes. And then flash this around on your LinkedIn, reference it in your interview, add links to your LinkedIn, reference it on your resume, and then make it very flashy and big and beautiful and work it into your interview. And this will put you ahead of actually a lot of people who have become complacent in the field, because not a lot of people have cloud skills in the first place. By you actually getting and gaining these certificates, you could beat more experienced people without cloud experience that may have been in the IT field for like 10 years. A really good place to start is Cloud Guru or Coursera. I will have links below to various training platforms and whatnot from my own research and what I would actually do when I'm going through and learning this. So check that out below, and then make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And I have a whole bunch of other videos on cloud and cybersecurity and IT. If you're interested, check out my channel. Until next time, bye.